around, edit it, but okay, we're live on Facebook now, and we're also live here. So, folks, let me turn this over to our senior funding officer, Wade Cordell, my business partner, the spirit leader for this entire funding operations. Literally helps every deal we get. He's the one talking to the clients. He's got some breaking news for all of you, so I want to get right to it. Mr. Cordell, take over, buddy.
Thank you. And what I'm going to talk about today is pretty exciting, but I don't want you to think in any way that it takes away from what we're already doing on a daily basis with our short-term capital funding. That is our bread and butter, and it will stay that way. Over the last couple of days and even weeks, we've been talking, interviewing, whatever you want to call it, with a company that has contacted us about representing them with a new type of funding program. It is all based on the COVID relief type funding, very similar to what the EIDL program was. It's very similar to some of that stuff, but that's not what it is. But we were asked and finally made our decision last night at 9:30. Well, actually, really didn't make a decision until today that we were going to go ahead and pursue this and do it because it makes perfect sense. As you know, there are right now we've been giving our clients better offers than we've ever given because of the change that has taken place throughout the entire landscape of our type of funding. Our offers are lower cost. Our offers are, in a lot of cases, longer term. And but what's really exciting about it is that we're able to make these offers, whether the small business people accept them or not. If we can get the package in, we can get them an offer in most cases. That being said, our equity group that contacted us has access to quite a bit of money in the hundreds of millions that is going to be used with a combination of government money, equity money, so forth, for this new type of funding. In this new type of funding, it will be long-term funding, interest-based funding, and we'll talk about commission and all that in a moment. But basically, any business qualifies that has $250,000 worth of revenue annually. That has the business owner must have a FICO of 600 plus. Those are two big criteria. These are not going to be short-term funding. They're actually going to be very similar to the EIDL program, where it's going to be a 30-year funding at 4 points. And just like those other fundings in the past that the government's throwing out, these folks won't even be making their first payment for a year. So the maximum amount that we will be offering to anyone is going to be $200,000. And it doesn't matter if you defaulted on past MTAs. It doesn't matter if you got 3 or 4 amounts, or it doesn't matter about any of that stuff as long as you have met those other criteria. Now, the way this works is that it is a 30-year payback. It is, as I said, after 12 months, the payments will begin. What we need in order to, this is not set to replace what we're already doing. This is really set to help those who need more funding than what we can provide for them. What we're going to need is 3 months of bank statements. We're going to need the 1-page application along with a second. I guess you can call it an application, but it's an information page that will be sent to them. So we'll have both of those with the driver's license and voided check, and that's all we need for verification. The client's going to be required to answer 3 questions. Number one, we're going to need to know what their gross revenue in 2019 was. Then we're going to need to know what their cost of goods are. In other words, subtract out what it cost you to make that. And then you're going to have a number. That number could be 100,000, it could be $1 million, whatever that number is, but the maximum funding is going to be $200,000 on all of these. So technically the client could qualify and get an MCA from us. They can get funding from this other source. It takes anywhere from 6 to 10 days for the funds to go through. We'll know very quickly within a couple of days if they're going to be approved for it. We're going, as I said, to try to qualify them for both, and they can make decisions from that point. If you send us if we get a pre-qual, we're going to assume that they are looking for MCA funding. So you're really going to have to talk to your client, and my suggestion is that, I will look at the file and I see that they got great credit and that sort of thing. We may be able to get them 300,000 or 400,000 or 500,000. So we're not going to offer both initially, but I'm going to go back to a lot of folks who have been funded, David, and I'm going to say, hey, listen, this is a new program that we're offering. It's a little bit different. It takes a little bit longer, maybe days, not weeks. And if you do qualify, you'd be able to get the funds right away and not pay for over a year. Now, it is my thought process that and by the way, we'll do nonprofits as well, churches, nonprofits, any business that's doing 250,000 in annual revenue. And it's really not going to be, that program's not going to be based on whether or not you in March or April or May didn't have any revenue. It's going to be, but we are going to look at the last 3 months of bank statements. I mean, you might not even have any revenue coming in for a couple of those months, and it's not going to affect this where it would affect our other programs. So when you're talking to your people out there, they will have they will have an information page on top of the application that will be emailed to them that they can just fill in the blanks, and it's going to have a drop down box they can put some information in, and they're going to have 2 or 3 questions, and it will ask, did they receive PPP money, yes or no? And that doesn't really matter. They just want to have that on record. Don't know how this program is going to really go initially because we're new at it. So, I mean, there may be a couple of hiccups that caused by me and our staff because we don't really understand yet everything. But I think it is pretty simple. I think it's a whole lot more simpler than the application process for PPP and all that. So our partnership with these guys is going to give you an opportunity to go back to a lot of your folks that you got funded, or a lot of them that maybe didn't accept the funding in the past, and talk to them. Now, if they've been turned down because of their credit score, there's no need to go back to them, because if they're not doing 250 with a 600 FICO, they're not going to get this type of funding, and it's not going to exceed 200,000, and it's all based on your revenues minusing out the cost to get those revenues, and they're not going to have to show proof. They're just going to have to answer those questions for us, and I'm not going to answer it for them. They're going to have to do it themselves. In regards to this type of funding, a lot of people are going to want to have access to it, and our commission side of this thing is going to be based on funded value, and the funded value is going to be a whole lot less than, I mean, like now sometimes we have a situation where it may be 60% of funded value or 70% because we had to do things to get the rates where they need to be and lower some stuff to move forward on this, on some of the really good credit folks. So this is no different. You're going to have anywhere from a 20 to 40% of funded value. Of the funded amount will equal to the funded value. And I'll let David talk more about that. But it's a whole lot more money. I mean, where they may have been qualified for 10,000, they may now get 60,000. So, and again, we're going to try to get them both. So, David, that's the information I have right now. And this is going to start immediately. I'm going to start calling. I've already contacted several companies that we did not get funded that wanted 100, 200,000, over the last couple of weeks that I think will now jump on that because they just put everything on hold.
Okay, so a couple things. This is awesome news. There's many clients that we've gone to who their sales went way down because of COVID. We can get them funding with this program, even though their sales disappeared in March and April, because we're not looking at March and April's revenue as much as we are their last 12 months revenue and their cost of goods sold for those 12 months. So Wade, when I'm talking to a client, I've got my current funding profile that I've got memorized, right? It's 10,000 in funding, got to be in business at least 4 months. Credit score doesn't really matter. Can't be bouncing checks. Got to have some deposits coming in. They can probably qualify for funding with us as long as they're doing 10,000 a month. As I'm going out to talk to clients, this is going to fit someone who wants the money longer, who wants to get approved for more than what they're doing per month in sales. Are those two statements correct?
Yes, and they have to have been in business for 1 year.
Okay.
And if they haven't been in business for at least a year, they will not qualify.
Okay, so as I'm taking a client on my checklist, and the good news is, folks, if you haven't filled out the pre-qualification form at the site, Wade's team is already going to be doing this for you, and we're going to add a couple options to our intake form, but they're not there yet. This is just decided today. So in a few days, you'll see some other options on that pre-qualification form to help our team. But while we're beta testing this, really, when we first launched DAC, for first 6 months, we didn't recruit anyone hard. We had a small team of maybe 20 or 30 agents so that we could beta test and find out what was good, what was not, what we didn't like, what vendors we wanted to represent, which ones we didn't. Did we really get paid when they said they were going to pay us? All those things we had to vet out before we went and wanted to launch out loud. We're doing the same thing with this. So you guys are part of our team. We believe in everything. We've dealt with this partner for quite a while, a couple of years. We've been partnered with this team, so we believe in them, but this is new to us. So we're going to proceed with enthusiasm, but we're also going to proceed in beta mode, meaning we're testing. And like Wade said, he may make mistakes, you may make mistakes, I may make mistakes, but the good news is our intention is to give more options to the client. So when you're going through this test, and our team will do this, but keep in mind, if they don't have a 600 credit score, we can't do anything on this program. We just keep doing our standard. If they're not been in business at least 2 years, got to be standard program. I mean,
1 year. 1 year.
1 year, 1 year. If they're not been in business 1 year, they got to be our standard program. If they've been in business 1 year, then maybe they can get this. If they've had a real suffer in revenue during COVID, perfect candidate for this, right? Because maybe they can't get in advance with us. Or if they want to get approved for more than their monthly volume and want to have a long period of time to pay it back, it fits this, as long as they get the credit threshold. So those are really the fork in the road. We'll learn more. Wade will be coming with training. On Friday, we're going to do another follow-up training on this. By then, our data intake form will be updated, and we'll have some better training for you on what to say to clients. Okay, this is literally breaking news. This got resolved, an hour and a half ago, Wade? Yeah. 2 hours ago. So we haven't yet put together the training steps on what to say to a client, but just using this common sense of what you just heard, you can see there's a fork in the road. Some have to go right because they haven't been in business a year, or they don't have a 600 credit score, right? So they'd have to be our traditional lending, our revenue-based lending. But if they can go to the left because they've got a 600 credit score, they've been in business 1 year, they do have sales and minus cost of goods, it's the inventory cost or the food cost, etc., the cost of goods, that amount's got to be positive. Okay, and that amount's going to determine what type of funding they can get approved for. But if they can go left, we'll see what we can do to help them. They can get the money for 30 years and not have to make a payment for a year. That's really a relief package. This is really a relief pitch. And so we've got funding for opportunities with our current capital, pinches for current capital people and struggling, and this is really a relief play for people who need it and who can qualify for it. Unfortunately, we can't qualify everyone, but it's pretty lenient compared to the government deals. So Wade, great work. I don't know if there's anything you want to recap from what I just said, then I'll talk about the money.
One last thing. This thing may last 3 months. It may last 6 months. It may last 3 years. We don't have a clue. We're just going to go full force with what we got. We're not going to change our whole posture and our website and everything like that. This is just, even if we didn't put anything on there, David, other than ask about our COVID relief package.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long this is going to last. But I do know this, we want to put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of applications in, and some will, some won't. So the ones that don't qualify for this most likely will qualify for the other funding, or they may qualify for both. Some of them may need money today and they can't wait a week or 10 days. So we can take care of them both ways.
Beautiful. Okay, so when Wade was talking about funded value, some of you are very familiar with this and understand our compensation plan, and understandably, some aren't. Funded value is most every time is the amount they get loaned. They borrow 100,000 or we advance them 100,000. That's the funded value. Most every time it is that, but about 1% of the time we have to lower that, or sometimes it's increased, but we lower it because we had to bring the pricing way down to get a client. Maybe they've had loans with others and they're coming over to us and say, I'll do it, but I can get a price over here because I've been in business with them for 5 loans already. You got to match it or I'm going to go with them. And so we got to do some price haggling. And so sometimes we get paid less from our provider than our contract amount because they can't do the deal without lowering what they pay us. When they lower what they pay us, then we lower the funded value. As Wade said, sometimes we've had to do that. And Wade himself took a loan. He took the funded value down to 60% of the loan amount because he wasn't concerned about his commission as much as he was taking care of the client. So he got paid as if let's say it was a $100,000 loan. He got paid as if it was only a $60,000 loan. It's lowered the funded value. The funded value on these is going to be lower. I mean, we're doing interest only for the first year, and then there's a 30-year payoff. They're not making near as much on these in the short term. It's a big risk to give us the commission we're getting now. So the funded value will be 20 to 40% of the loaned amount. And it depends. It's case by case. So I would always assume it's 20%. And if it ends up at 30 or 35, great. But 20 to 40%. What that means is someone would maybe get an advance with us currently of 20,000. Maybe we'll be able to get them 75. But in the end, the funded value maybe only be 20% of that 75, 15,000, or 30% of that 70,000, 21,000. So in the end, the client's getting a better deal than our current loan process and product. As far as time to pay it off, you're going to earn pretty much about the same on that client because they're going to get funded for more money, but the funded value is, quite a bit less. So in the end, your average commission is probably going to stay about the same than what you're doing now. But we do have a funded value computation for this reason so that we can modify and still pay you 4%. We just lower the funded value, you still get 4% of it. Someone gets 200,000, maybe the funded value is only going to be 50 and you get paid 4% of the 50,000. Maybe it's only going to be 35. You get 4% of 35. So funded value isn't always the funded amount, but in our current loan situation, 98, 99% of the times it is. But in this, it never will be. It's always going to be reduced significantly because the maximum they pay us is far less than what we pay out to the field. So we got to lower the funded value, obviously. Wade, did I cover that clearly?
You did.
Okay. All right. So then with that, I'm going to allow some questions. Again, I'm in a remote spot here. So I don't know, as long as I got it. I see Al's got his hand up. Let's go to you first, Al. There's some questions for Wade Cordell. We'll take a couple and we'll be done. Your questions sometimes help us see first time we've presented this. So don't be afraid. If you're not clear about something, ask a question. Wade might have to jump, but we can take a couple of them. Let's go to Al Mosher first. Al, what question have you got for Wade?
Hey, Wade, what is the average cost on these loans? You said it was interest-based, but are we talking about, 10 to 20% or 50 to 60%?
Neither. It's 4%.
Oh, 4%. Okay.
A little bit higher than what the EDA loans were.
Okay. Cool. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Al. And then we go to Brett Malik. Brett, you're unmuted, buddy.
Well, hi there, Wade, and hi there, David. Yeah, my question's similar. Let's just say that they can get it maybe $100,000. What will the payback be for the business owner, and how is that similar or different to the traditional lending?
It is traditional lending. It is going to be a 30-year fix. It's going to be a 30-year simple interest, 4% annual program, and they're not going to have to pay on it, just like they don't on the old, you saw the EDA loans. they were paying back. They don't start for 12 months before they even have to make their first payment. I know it almost sounds too good to be true, and you can compare it to those, but it's not the same. But I will tell you that what we want to call them is what David said, the coronavirus relief package that we have for folks, and it is a standard loan program.
So 4% is very similar to a mortgage, Brett.
Right.
Very similar to a mortgage payment, 30-year fixed at 4%. So they're going to end up paying, 2 times what they borrow over the 30 years, just like a mortgage, maybe 2.5, maybe 1.5. But the good news is the monthly payment is very low and it's very affordable.
And it will be monthly payments.
Okay, not like the micro payments. There'll be a monthly.
Yep. Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great questions, Brett. Thank you. All right. Carolyn Powell, what question have you got for us, Carolyn? Super service star, superwoman.
Thank you so much for making this opportunity. Holy smokies. Is it still accessible all through the same link through our office? Same link, one click, all of that same thing. Okay. Very good.
Yep, same site. Wade and his team will be deciphering. What I mean about changing the form, we won't even change the drop cards. Probably everything's going to be the same. You'll have to have the discussion. If we see this staying, we may add a new drop card. But the reality is, one option on the website that says something like, "Did your gross revenue minus your cost of goods sold, was it positive?" Something like that may trigger Wade's team. So we may change a couple things there, but we don't know what those are yet. And we're waiting on the council. Wade's talking with the experts. We're figuring out if we need to change that or if we just have a couple questions for the client. But I think we will want to add some special breaking announcement on our front page that says we also have a COVID release package. Click on it and we explain it a little bit and apply here, because some of them they won't take our current capital, but they would go for this. So we'll probably add something to the website as a breaking news temporary thing and see and test it. But we don't want to mess up what's going now. You guys are doing awesome. We're getting a lot of pre-qualifications. We're funding well. We don't want to put a kink in that armor, if you will. But we want to help serve more clients. Great question, Carolyn. Harlequin, what question have you got for us, Harlequin?
Hey, first off, I am super excited about this. But one of the questions I have is, you mentioned that 200,000 is the maximum. Is there a minimum amount?
Well, I don't think so, but I don't think he's going to try to do anything under $10,000 is what he basically told me. He's not trying to fund anything that's going to be, and that's why they put the 250 criteria in there, so that none of them will be under that amount.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to have any offers under $10,000 anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we want to work any offers under 10,000. We don't make any money.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I would have thought that it would be higher than that, to be honest. But Wade, if you want, I'm gonna, without talking to him, I'm gonna volunteer. One of my team members has been doing EIDL loans for years.
That's not what this is. That's not what this is.
I realize that, but he has a lot of experience with that if you have questions on it.
Oh, I appreciate that. That would be good. I'm going to be going through my training this afternoon anyway with the group that made the offer to us, and I'm gonna see what all their, if I don't totally understand it, because I'm not going to sit there and with someone and say, hey, this is our package, this is what we do, I don't care what everybody else does, this is what we do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And see what they say. But I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Harlequin. All right, LG Style 2 Plus. Not sure who that is, but that's your name on this. We're going to you, LG Style 2 Plus. Who's that? You signed in under your cell phone. Okay, unmuted you. Go ahead. Last chance. Okay, change your name to your name, and I'll call you by name. But I had to mute you back. We got Ellen and Matthew. Let's go to Matthew DeHame and then Ellen Wynn. Matthew, the Matster. What do you got for us, Matthew?
Hey, so this is just beyond crazy. I got on a little late. Wade, you started, and I think I got the answers with some of the questions that were asked. Just we're not leading with this, I get it necessarily, but there's a lot of folks, as you would well know, that we've submitted packages for that would be a good candidate for this. Would you suggest me following up with them, or should I leave it up to you and your team? That was one question. And obviously this is just fantastic for anybody, for business owners right now. Many of these folks, they're not really able to qualify, but this is just right down their alley, man. This is fantastic. I can't believe what I just heard. I get it. You don't want to jump like we're going to go easy with this. I get it, but my Lord, this is great news, man. I'm really happy to hear this.
And Matthew, you're right. But yeah, I think you should contact those, but don't contact anyone who was turned down because of credit issues, because they're not going to get this. But everybody else that I don't care if they got funded with us or not. I mean, you say, hey, listen, this is an opportunity for you. Do you want to do that? And if they do, then we'll have to get, the same stuff. And then I'm going to email each one of them personally from my email, the information page that is an information page that I need completed.
Yeah, they need a 600 credit score, in case you didn't hear that, everybody, in case you came in late. Ellen, great question, Matthew. Ellen Wynn, what have you got for us, Ellen?
Hello. Good news. Thank you for the announcement. Hey, a couple of questions. One, is there a closing cost fee for the consumer, and is there an early termination penalty?
Okay, we don't fund consumers, so but I know what you meant. There's a cost. It is a closing cost that they're not going to front. It's going to come out of the funding. So yeah, they're going to get anywhere from, it could be up to 10 points.
That's deducted from their payment. Just like right now, we have up to 5 points deducted from their payments, or deducted from their deposit.
Yeah.
And is there a penalty if they don't go full term on the loan? Prepayment penalty?
There's no prepayment penalties from what I understand.
Okay.
I'm going to make sure and ask that shortly. Good question.
Great question. Thank you. Ralph Nichols. Hope you're feeling better, Ralph. I'm sure you are. Great work always. What do you got for us, Ralph? You're unmuted.
Okay. Just wanted to thank you guys again for the hustle bustle. I mean, you're always bringing in new stuff. The minimum, what was the minimum income? Like 200,000?
250. 250 in revenue.
250 in revenue, and kind of balancing that off with cost of goods and services or whatever.
Yeah, they're going to ask two questions. What was your total revenue for the year, and then what was your total cost to get that revenue for the year?
Okay. All right. Just wanted to clarify that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Great question, Ralph. And then PK. PK's got a question. You've been unmuted, PK. What do you got for us?
He's not unmuted.
Yeah, I keep hitting unmute. You might be muted on your side, PK. There you go.
Okay. I joined about 8 minutes late. This is like phenomenal news on my side to hear this. I wanted to know, I was 8 minutes late, so I missed, is it still like you're pre-approved in 24 hours, and does it get funded in 3 days, or is this a much longer process?
You're not pre-approved in 24 hours, so it's a different process.
Okay.
It's talking about a week to 2 weeks rather than 2 to 3 days.
It's a 3 day. It's about a 3 day approval, but to get funded is about 6 to 10 days.
Oh my gosh. That's like faster than a mortgage. This is amazing. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I don't think we got anybody else, David.
Nope. I'm just thinking, when she just said that, I just thought of 2 clients who have micro payment loans with us now who could jump all over this. Okay, folks, listen, appreciate you all. Obviously, this is a moving announcement. Come back Friday for more updates. And hey, let's get out and serve clients, build giants, and be giants as we're serving clients. God bless you all. Have a great day, everybody. Great stuff, Wade. Thanks for being here, team. We'll see you Friday.